make you laugh, shows that make you think, music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Brought to you by Photography as an Art, Harvey Randman, master photographer, located at 1307 North San Fernando Boulevard in Burbank, California. And the newly released book, Mass Murders in America, written by attorney Ron Irwin, now available from Laludot in a 30% discount price. Our guest today is a very unique individual. He's an actor, did some stunt work, and worked as a model. He also was a member of Team USA's National Bobsled Program, where he represented America in numerous international bobsled races. And if that's not enough, he finished a book where he documented his journey to become a faithful partner. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Will Person. Will, thank you for stopping by today. Memorial Day, glad to have you down here with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My first question, where you from, my brother?
I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri, we call it, right?
Missouri, yes, especially in the summertime.
I love that. That arc, I love it down there. Great city, had a chance to go there. What was it like growing up in St. Louis, Missouri?
Hot. Hot in the summer, cold in the winter.
Sounds like a few cities I know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, they say when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not.
That's right.
Indeed. So at the age of 6, I mean, you normal childhood, but then at the age of 6, you got involved with athletics?
Yeah, I sure did.
What was that like?
Actually, my first race, I was 6 years old. But my dad, he was a fanatic. So I won my first, well, actually, what really happened is we had a 100-meter race, and I'm 6 years old.
Okay.
So when, they line you up and they say, runners take your mark, get set, they shot the gun, everybody ran, I was still standing there. So everybody started screaming at me, and I took off running, I caught the people, and then my dad, at that point, I was gonna be his Olympic champion. So he began to wake me up at like 5 in the morning to go around to run in the snow, run up hills, and I was 6 years old. I didn't want any part of that. So I quit. And then when I was 11 years old, I wanted to run again.
Okay.
And I ran every year from 11 until I was 37.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so that was my passion, just running.
What was your favorite specialty in track and field?
Well, my favorite was really the 400 meters.
Okay.
But I love long jumping. So I was torn, but long jumping was my specialty.
We had a different name for it back in my day.
The broad jump?
Yeah, you used to call it the broad jump.
Oh, yeah.
Now they changed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Jump. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But what were some of the benefits that you got by being in athletics for all that period of time?
Well, the truth is, for me, I didn't know it at the time, but it saved my life. Because as an African American living in St. Louis, it's very segregated. It's a segregated place, and then you have all of my family lived in the ghetto areas. I lived in the suburbs. It was a little bit different. So in the summertime or weekends, we tried to get down to the ghetto and have fun. It was with our families, But the truth is, it's I watch many family members and friends get into trouble. And so where my passion was running around in a circle or running to jump in a pile of dirt or sand, they were getting in trouble. And so it saved my life. And it kept me out of trouble, and it's taken me around the world many times.
I know your mother and father were very proud of you for what you've accomplished.
Very much so.
They stood by you through thick and thin.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
yeah.
It's in the family.
And my grandmother.
Oh, don't
Can't leave her out.
Can't leave her out. No.
Oh, yeah.
Grandmothers are very special.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a grandfather yet?
I am.
Go ahead. How many you got?
Two.
Two, okay.
Yep. 6 months old and 3 years old.
There's a special role that grandparents do for their grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
You look at your children and go, I have 8 kids. And, then I look at my grandkids. Hey, grandkids, what's happening? I got 5 of them.
Yeah.
And one great. And I look at them and go, hey, what's happening? You take care of them because that's the next generation.
That's the next, yeah.
Now, when you were in college, what was your degree in?
Well, I was torn.
Okay.
I started out with electrical engineering.
Ooh, double E, okay.
Yeah, so I was in my final year, and I realized I don't want to sit behind a desk the rest of my life.
Okay.
And so I had a minor, because I came into a university with an associate degree. So in order for me to be a Division I athlete, I had to have that. And so when I went back to school, I took sociology as a minor, just to dilute some of my classes, because I didn't want to take 5 engineering classes plus labs. It was too much. And so, but I fell in love with just the journey of watching people and documenting people, which is actually what my book is. You know, like I didn't understand how that college played a role in me writing this book.
Gotcha. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that book in
Yeah.
the course of this interview today, definitely. In 1996, you were asked to try out for a football movie being filmed in Arizona.
Yeah.
Can you take it from there, sir?
All right, you know what? That is a bizarre story. I thought it was a scam. I was training a bunch of NFL players at the time.
Okay.
And, you know, I would help them with their 40-yard times. They would help me with skills. And so my goal was to, you know, hopefully work out for an NFL team and then, you know, ride that out. And so this one athlete I was training, he told me about this movie coming up. And he wanted me to come try out. And so there's so many scams around for jobs at that time.
Yeah.
So I
And
just
still
assumed,
today.
yeah.
And still today. Oh, yeah.
So I assumed they was, you know, I was gonna get there, they're gonna have me selling perfume on the corners or something. I didn't know what was going on. So I get there, and it's 500 people on this field. And it was the most humiliating thing I've ever been through, but it was the most beneficial thing I've ever been through. Yeah, and that journey wound up being Jerry Maguire.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Yes, yeah, okay. Let's see, where do we start from here? Well, my thing was like when we got on set, like
Okay.
I'm still thinking it's a scam
Okay.
until day one when Cuba showed up.
Ah.
Now I'm sitting next to Cuba.
Okay.
And he made the journey for me, like, I was nervous, you know, being on that set first time.
Right.
You know, we had Tom Cruise to the left of me, Cuba to the right, and you just, you know, you don't really know what to do. I no acting experience at the time. And so it was just, wow, man, I don't really know how to put into words. It
Was there any contracts signed, any letters of understanding, anything to let you know? How'd you get on the set? A lot of things like that.
Well, okay, let's take a step back then, huh? Well, remember, can I take you through the workout?
Yes,
that they
please.
did okay, this is what we did.
Okay.
When we got on the set, there was this guy, Alan Graff. He does all the football movies from Jerry Maguire, Waterboy, Replacements. It's two teams that do that stuff. So I'm working for Alan Graff. So we get on the set, and this big guy walks over to me. He looks at me, you know. He walks past me. Then this other guy comes over, Mark Ellis. He says, stay right next to me. He said, don't leave. Whatever you do, don't leave. I didn't know what was going on. So I stayed with the guy. So Alan Graff comes out with a megaphone, and he's screaming at people. He's like, if you've never played pro football, get the hell out of here right now. You're wasting my time. And he saw people start to, you know, trickle out. You know, I wanted to leave myself, but the guy told me to stay with him.
Right.
So then he came back through, and they lined us all up in positions. And my God, man, you know, he was still like drilling us with this megaphone, just asking us questions, you know, looking at you, go home, you extra, you sideline, you get out of here. And he got to me, he asked me, when was the last time you played football? I said, 3 years ago. He looked at me, and he just kept walking. So it was humiliating. It was really humiliating.
Yes.
That's what it was. So he saw this little chubby guy. He said, if you can't run 4.5 seconds in a 40, you wasting my time, get the hell out of here. And so the guy said, I can do it, I can do it. So he walked over to the line. He started running. He took 4 steps. The guy stopped the watch. He said, when he gets done, tell him to get out of here. So it was that kind of environment, you know. So, yeah. But for me, like, I thought they were going to kick me out at one point. We do these drills where you have tackling dummies, right?
Right.
So they like 5 on the ground. And you have to run forward, then backpedal, run forward, then backpedal. And the goal is not to touch your bag and to get a good time, right? So the first guy went through, he went through pretty clean. They kicked him out. Second guy went through, he touched the bag, they kicked him out. I went through, I stepped on everything. They told me, you're exempt, you don't have to do another thing. And I was like, okay, what just happened here, you know?
Right.
Producing guy, I always said producing guys were on my side. And what saved me is I ran a really fast 40 for him. So, yeah.
Thank you for telling us this story because, again, there's a lot of young people that watch our show
Yeah.
and they want to get into this business. They are not aware of what goes on in the business. I mean, from little scams like this to big stuff like Harvey Weinstein. It all goes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all mixed together. And so it's good to know these things as you step out.
Well, I
into
try to
this.
tell people, like,
Yes.
even for track and field, you know, like, you never know where your journey's going to take you.
No.
Like, I understand everything I have in life came because I ran fast. For me, you know, getting into the movie,
Right.
for me, being on the bobsled team,
Being a model,
being a model.
handsome
yeah.
young man like yourself.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that, you know.
I can say it, no problem.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so everything I had in life came because I stayed on my journey, which was I just wanted to run down this track and jump in a pile of sand.
When you're on the
Simple as
set,
that.
like you say, sitting there with Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr., man, that was nice, wasn't it? And others, that was nice.
Oh yeah.
wasn't it?
You know, Cuba, he set the precedence for us that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my favorite part of the set is like, you know, you got the catering. They bring in all this good food, right?
Oh, yes, the food.
So I go up there and I have a plate of food. I fill up my plate. Now I'm trying to get some juice, right? So it's not really working out because I had to put it down somewhere. So Cuba jumps up from the other side of the room. He said, wait a minute. He came over there. He took the cup from me. He put the juice in my cup, carried it to my seat. And at that point, we broke our necks for that guy. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You mentioned, because you brought up one of my best areas on the set.
Oh, yeah.
What's your best area of the set?
Best area of the set, locker room, really.
Okay, locker room.
Locker room.
Okay.
A lot of people from different backgrounds, and you meet some unique characters on the set.
Got you. Ask me that question.
Okay, what is your favorite spot on the set?
Where they fix the food at? Well, the food
There-
is
oh,
laid
yeah.
out there for you, man. I get my plate loaded up.
What, the meals or the in-between meals?
Anything I can get my hands on.
Okay.
I figure, as working with junkets and other things like that, you learn to be on the set and be around the people, and you say, I think I'll get the numbers later, but give me the food now. I'll take the food now. Okay. Being in a movie you got your first exposure to, you got exposed to the world of groupies. What was that like?
Wow, that was a wake-up call.
Okay.
Like you know, being an athlete, you always kind of have groupies around. You understand? Well, we call them fans, you know. But once you got to the movie industry, it was a different level.
Yes.
It was like all of my friends were either NFL players, some NBA, few professional baseball players, and actors. So the level of women was different. Like with the NFL players, NBA players, and the actors, those are groupies. Winter Olympics, those are fans. There's a difference.
Okay.
You know, and it's really separated by money. You
Yeah,
know?
oh yeah.
Yeah, the big guys make the big money. You know.
And the groupies is always running with the hands out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Interesting. Because a lot of times, this week you were talking about things that you need to know. This week in Backstage Magazine, and I sent it to a lot of my friends, I think I sent you a copy of it, 60 plus things that you need to know about the theater and about what happens in the world. Because you go over the set for the first time, you don't know where you are. Somebody go to the front of the stage, go to the back of the stage. Huh? What are they talking about? You have no idea. So it's a learning experience for
Very
everybody.
much so.
And having a good attitude like you have will help you a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
What other acting gigs did you do after Jerry Maguire?
Well, actually, I was offered. They wanted to come bring me down to the set for Waterboy,
Okay.
and then I turned that down. I was in a custody battle for my daughters.
Okay.
And I didn't know when my court date was coming, so they were more important to me than movie set.
Gotcha.
And so after that, we finished up the custody thing. I went and worked on one called Any Given Sunday. And so I had a chance to, like meet Jamie Foxx for the first time.
Jamie, yeah.
Which it'll come full circle because I wound up helping him
That's
on
not
the
his real
project.
name. I'm
later.
not going to tell you his real name, but that's not
Actually,
his real
I
name.
know it, but it slipped my mind right now. But yeah.
Leave it alone. Yeah, he get mad
Yeah.
if he tell his real name. Yeah.
Oh, it's all over the place, though. So, yeah.
Interesting guy.
Yeah, very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is. Had a chance to meet him. He's from Texas. That we know.
Yeah.
And we talk about that all extensively. Definitely. My research tells me about that you did meet a bobsled driver who offered you to make you a racing partner.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, sir? That sounds lucrative.
That guy, you know what? Sometimes I want to shake his hand, and sometimes I just want to punch him in the nose. I don't know
you
which
wanna
one.
hook it?
Oh yeah. Well, he brought me out for this tryout. It was live, covered by NBC. And so I get out there. I don't know what to expect. So they bring out this treadmill. They put it on the highest elevation. It's hooked up to this little fancy computer, and you stand on it. They punch you in 10 miles an hour and hit the button, and then you have to start running.
Yeah.
And the faster you run on this thing, the more pressure you apply, the quicker you get to 10 miles an hour, and they time that.
I see.
So I get to this tryout, I'm a smart guy. I lay in the back, and I'm just watching to see what's going on. And so I watched the first 25 people go through, and I said, okay. So I warmed up really good, and it was my turn. So when I got my opportunity to do it, this driver, his eyes got really big. So I didn't know if I did really good or really bad. I just had no idea. I just know that, this is an interesting journey, and I didn't know what I was doing. So make a long story short, he puts his arm around me with the cameras rolling, and he says, if I offer you $50,000 for the next 3 months, would you race on my team? And I gave him an educated answer. I said, well, if it's a fair amount, yeah. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah,
Hell
do it.
yeah.
You're out of your mind.
You're crazy. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
might even give you a discount, you know. So that was my journey, and that was on a Friday. Like I said, NBC covered that tryout, and so I took my first bobsled run 2 days later. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. If it wasn't for the money, I wouldn't have done it a second time. But I'm glad I did, you know, because I hate roller coasters. I hate that fear of heights.
Right.
So this was all of that. You know, you're on the mountaintop and you're going down,
Right.
you know, 90 miles an hour.
Right.
You just-
Enclosed in a shell with no
Well,
control.
not really enclosed. The driver's enclosed.
Okay.
I'm out exposed. So if we flip over, I'm coming out.
Okay.
Well, I can come out. So, but no, it was just one of those. It was a very, very interesting journey. Very interesting journey.
And then 4 days later, what happened?
Well, 4 days later, I had my first international race.
Wow.
I won a medal.
Wow.
Now, NBC finds out. They run the story on the show called Go for the Gold.
Okay.
And at that point, I was hooked. I was like, okay, this is fun. I can do this for a little while. And 7 years later, I was still there.
That was a short break. Short
Yeah,
break.
yeah, very much.
Took your
7
time.
years.
7 years. Wow. Now, as we know, a world-class bobsled flies along like a bullet. I mean, how fast does it go? How many G's you pull it? Things like that.
Well, every track's a little different. Like,
Okay.
for example, the more turns and winds you have in a track, the slower you go.
Okay.
And so you have a lot of tracks with those big, long straightaways. That means you're going to pull top speed, which is like probably 95 miles an hour is top speed now.
Wow.
And some of the slower tracks, you might go, 80, 85.
Were you
But-
scared?
Yeah, sometimes, every track is a little difficult, and like sometimes, like we race World Cup, like every 7 days with a new country.
Okay.
And if that driver's not familiar with the track, it can be a little rough for you
Yes.
until he finds his way down the track the right way.
We have a short film about what it's like sitting in one of those bobsleds and going downhill. Jarvis, could you run it for me, please? Wow, man, that would take your breath away. Where were we at? Where did you do the set? Where was the set?
That's the Calgary Olympic Park.
Wow.
So actually, that park is really unique. That's where the movie Cool Runnings came
Okay.
out of. So those are a lot of my buddies, the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yes.
So those are very interesting people there.
Yeah, they are. Particularly look where they come from. You
Yeah.
know, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Ain't no snow out that part of the country or world. How do you stay in shape when you're doing that kind of work?
Well, I stick with what helped me become a good athlete. I stick with my running workouts, a lot of weightlifting. For example, where most bobsled athletes, when you're on the team, like you're going to do the best workouts you can without overexerting yourself. But me, I was different. Like I still ran 400-meter runs, 300-meter runs. Most athletes hate doing that. But it kept me strong, kept me conditioned. And even now, I still like to do those things.
So you go in the gym, you work out, pick up weights and things of that nature?
Well, I'm a little bit, I don't do it as much as I can right now. I got rear-ended a couple of years ago, so I'm a little bit stiff in the neck. But yeah, definitely, still going there and lift weights.
Okay.
Try to run as much as I can.
Okay. What was your position on that bobsled?
I'm normally the brakeman, which means it's kind of like the okay, you got your driver, right? Your driver's he's like your most important person, And then I'm the brakeman. Like my job is to get it moving fast, but if I don't get it moving that fast, everything's gonna be okay.
Okay.
But if that driver's no good, you don't want to be in that sled.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you ever work with simulators, or is it always the real bobsled that you're in?
Real
training?
thing.
Real thing.
I've seen simulators, but they really don't help.
Okay. Because of course the most important thing is everybody getting on the sled in sequence, in a good sequence, so they can actually keep on rolling.
And that's a hard thing to do. That
sure.
doesn't happen all.
Please.
Doesn't happen all that way all the time.
No,
so,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you fall out, you have a big audience just watching you.
Yeah.
Like we race live on TV, so we have a huge TV audience. Like at one point, our TV audience was bigger than Monday Night Football. This is a live broadcast.
Okay.
And so, like, if you fall, when you get back to the hotel, you're going to have like 100 emails and faxes, everything just sitting there waiting on you for questions about why you fell out of that sled.
What?
And if it's your buddy, they're going to be laughing at you.
Wow.
So, and we call it the walk of shame because then you have to walk back past those
The
cameras.
walk of shame.
Oh yeah, the walk of shame. You got to walk past those cameras, and you have to walk past all the audience.
Right.
Yeah. So.
It reminds me, today is Memorial Day. I was in the Navy for 22 years, and I
Oh,
remember
congrats.
when you're on an aircraft carrier, when a plane comes in for a landing and he misses that wire, he has to bolt, what they call a bolt, and go around again. And they give you a lot of shame when you come back. Oh, you blew it. You couldn't make it, huh? Folks can be interesting, can't they? Do you prefer two-man or four-man?
Oh man, you know what? I love two-man, but four-man is more interesting.
Why?
There's 3 more bodies in that sled, and we all have to get in there at the same time.
Okay.
And sometimes, like I said, it just doesn't work out that way.
Okay.
Two-man, you just push it, you get in, and it's over. And so it's not as fun.
Okay.
It's not as challenging.
You ever had an accident?
Yeah. Let me see. My first crash was
Your first crash?
Yeah, St. Moritz, Switzerland. Yeah, no big deal though. Yeah. It's the nature of the sport. Like I had several crashes, but I've had people crash like 20 times a year. Like, and I was lucky. I never really had that. I was on a higher enough team where I didn't have to deal with that. So.
Was the family worried about you in this field or doing this kind of work?
You know what? I don't really know. But they were my biggest supporters.
Got
so
you.
yeah.
Got you. Now, how many other accidents did you have?
Well, it was my driver's fault, so it was no accident.
Okay.
It was his fault. No, probably 3 more, I believe. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Probably about 3.
Now, you guys are a team. You see each other on the bobsled and off it. What's that like?
You know what? These are your brothers. We travel the world together. Like we've been on tour and someone's family member died. We have athletes where they might have their wife might have had a baby, and they're here with us, and so we're overall family, but it's also a very political sport as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're wearing red, white, and blue for this country.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, you've won multiple awards in both national and international races. In fact, in 2003, you placed in the top 10 at the World Championships.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You brought a medal with you. Can you please show it to us and let us
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what is that, please?
This one is actually, most of my medals are gone now. Like I've won many, and someone tried to buy one from me one time,
Okay.
and it just felt cheap, and
Excuse me.
I wouldn't sell it, And so what I started doing is, someone in the community does something well or struggling with something, I'll gift them. So I have like 8 medals left, and this is one of them. This is an important one. This is from 2006 national championships. We have 2 selection races, and the first one our team wasn't expected to place. They didn't want my driver to win. I came out of retirement to help this guy, and so this was the first selection race, and they said we shouldn't have won. We're not going to win, and so we wound up third. It's a 3rd place medal.
3rd place, bronze.
Yeah. So this was like around the end of the year, but then we came back in January for the next race, for the big one.
Okay.
And that's this one here. So on this one, we were crowned the national champions.
National champion. All
live
right.
on TV.
All
So,
right. Very nice.
and because, like I said, it's a very political sport, so the coaches were trying to pre-select the teams.
I see.
They want the buddies to win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so for us to come back and win that title, it was. This is one of my favorite wins.
I
here.
can see that.
Yeah.
Yes. USA 4-man national bobsled championships.
Yep.
1st place.
And so we have a Billy Fisk Memorial Trophy. So what that means is there's a trophy that they keep in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And when you win that title, then they engrave your name on it. And and it's, Hall of Fame. It makes the Hall of Fame, so it sits there in Lake Placid.
Got you. You brought some helmets with you. Can you show us that, please?
I sure can.
Certainly.
All right. Now this is one of my this is one of my favorites right here. That's why I keep this.
Autographed by a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of my athletes from 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, including the Jamaicans. We have Vanetta Flowers. She's the first black woman to win a Winter Olympic medal.
Okay.
Randy Jones, one of my teammates, him and Garrett won a silver medal 2002 Winter Olympics. And we got the Jamaican bobsled on here. I think I have Prince Albert too. Prince Albert raced for Monaco at the time. So he signed it. And like someone offered me 15 grand for this one time. And it was an NFL guy, and I wouldn't sell. I was like, nah, I have to hold on to it. Save for the grandkids, which was way before them.
Yeah.
So
For the grandkids,
Yeah.
yes. You have another one?
yeah, I do. This is here. Let's see. This is my favorite.
Red.
So if you look at the, you can hardly see the signatures now, so I put tape over them. But this is from the Tuskegee Airmen. They autographed this one for me at the St. Louis Science Center.
I'm very blessed.
And so this travels with me. When I move,
Yes.
a lot of things I leave in my home in St. Louis. Some things I take with me, this one comes with me. So it's one of those just proud things, it's with pride.
Well, God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you, sir. Definitely.
I brought one more thing for you
Okay.
to see. All right. Now, most people when we race, it's minus 40 degrees outside.
Yes.
So if you they always say if you spit, it'll freeze before it hit the
It is
ground.
ground.
Yeah, and that's true. That's very true. So can you imagine wearing this right here? Negative 40?
Ooh.
Nothing under it, just this right
Just
here. That's
Wow. And this is silk?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's what is that? It's spandex. It's
Spandex.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So nothing warm about this thing at all. But this is what we compete in.
Your heart and blood is working, huh? That's it.
Oh yeah.
Keeps you going.
Yeah. Until you get to the bottom of that track and then that adrenaline kind of fades off and that cold air is there and then your hands are stuck yeah. A lot of fun.
Obviously, you like what you was doing.
I did. I loved it.
7 years.
Yeah, 7
Yes.
years.
Did you ever compete in the Olympics, Winter Olympics?
I did not. After, let me see, 2002 would have been my first Olympic year.
Okay.
And at that time, they only let the top 2 teams race in the Olympics.
Okay.
And really, my team was going to finish like 6th at the Olympic trials. We weren't even a contender at the time. My team, he decided to get us a new equipment. And so he never tested the equipment. And so we put on the track that day. It was slow as molasses. So we went from a contender to we weren't going to win anything. And so what happened was this guy, he asked me to not push the sled so fast. And that's my job, to move the sled fast.
Right.
And so I went to my coaches and I said, hey guys, how do I slow the sled down and then make it faster later for him? And they told me, well, that guy's an idiot. Just keep doing what you're doing. They said, matter of fact, we're going to give you an automatic buy onto the national team. You go on a World Cup with us if you want your ticket. So you don't have to race with him today at the Olympic trials, but if you want to help him, you can, but you don't have to. You already have your ticket.
Good.
So I still helped him.
Super.
And and I went on tour and spent the next 2 years with the national team.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, just out of curiosity, you don't see that many blacks competing in bobsledding. How were you treated, and how did you get along with folks?
Overall, you get along with the athletes pretty good.
Okay.
But it's definitely not a level playing field.
Okay.
And sometimes when you're out there, I'm from the Midwest, it's really segregated. And I couldn't figure out if it's racism or they just don't like me,
Okay.
And sometimes you go through that. And when one athlete gets one thing and you're not offered the same, it feels like what it feels like,
Gotcha.
And so, for me, it was very trying time,
But you made it through.
I made it through. Made it through.
You
Yes.
made it through. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, we got to take a short break for some commercials. We'll be back in just a few moments with actor, model, author, and bobsledder Will Person. The studio of Harvey Brandman, photographer as an art, is proud to offer a $100 discount off any photo package for you or your family valued at $300 or more. Harvey has been in the business for nearly a quarter of a century. and he certainly knows just how to take care of you as a customer. So please give him a call today at 818-954-9294. That's 818-954-9294. You'll be glad you did. And oh, by the way, please tell Harvey that you heard about his offer right here on The Actor's Choice. Mass Murders in America, a solid, realistic, and informative book seen and heard in today's headlines. Mass Murders in America details every mass murder since September 1949 up to and including the September 2015 San Bernardino case. Attorney Ron Irwin authored the book, which is currently available for a 30% discount price. To get your copy today, just go to Lulu Press at lulu.com. That's lulu.com. And finally, if you're making a product, you have a service or an upcoming event that you'd like to see told on this program, please call 323-533-1036. That's 323-533-1036. We thank you. Today we're talking with actor, model, author, and bobsledder Will Person. I'm your host, Ron Brewington, and this is The Actor's Choice. Okay, Will, on with the show. During the 2005 bobsled season, I understand that you began having a recurring dreams about doing Jerry Maguire, and you wanted to come back to Hollywood again. So you reached out to all your friends here in the Hollywood area, and things happened. Please tell us what happened.
Well, the weird part is when I left the set of Any Given Sunday, I told myself I don't ever want to work in Hollywood again.
Really?
I just don't want to do it. I started with stunts, and that one, I just had this epiphany. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to get beat up. I was lucky I was a defensive back, which means I don't get hurt, but the receivers get hurt. That's the short of it. And so for me, for me to want to go back was just the furthest thing from my mind. So 2005, like you said, I was on tour. It was kind of like my last couple of years. I was winding down. And I began having this dream, man. I was watching Tom Cruise, and one of the scenes, he sprints out onto the football field from the tunnel at Arizona State University, the Sun Devil Stadium. Okay. So he runs out of the stadium, and he's running toward his client, which is Cuba Gooding Jr. He's unconscious on the field. And I was watching Tom do this scene over and over. And every time, like, this guy was running, he looked like a professional runner. He had good technique, and he hit his cues every time, and, like, that was the one thing I took away from the movie, like just his work ethic. And I had no idea that one day it was going to inspire me to come back, because once I started having those dreams, I was like, okay, what was that about? Yes. And then over the next 2 years, it wouldn't stop. And so eventually, it brought me back to Hollywood. And so that's one thing I can say for sure. Tom Cruise, man. Thank you if you watching out here. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Now, you agreed with open arms. Yeah. But you noticed something unusual. There was abundance of groupies and drugs.
Yeah, very much so. My thing is like, I'm no drugs for me.
Okay. Answer that question.
But I love groupies. I have to be honest. I'm one of those guys. So I didn't want to. But I felt like this: if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so if my life was that out of control with groupies, then that means that there's a chance that somehow drugs could fall into my life one day.
How about girlfriends? You had a history of being unfaithful to your girlfriends.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Why was that?
Before I wrote the book, I figured I cheated on every girlfriend I ever really had, every woman who ever loved me. And it took for me to write the book to realize I didn't cheat as much as I thought I did. I was a single man, wasn't married, and I was traveling the world. It's just kind of what... It's just kind of what our journey was out there. For athletes, that's what we do.
Right.
And I fell right into the trap.
Right. It's easy to do that because I know I teach a class over at Santa Monica College, and I know one of the things we talk about when we're talking about communications, we say, what are the 3 major reasons why relationships fall apart? Number 3 is money. Number 2 is sex, and number 1 is lack of communications. And so a lot of these things do help. I'm not a scientist like that, but I do understand what it's like when people try to get ahead and try having a relationship. I mean, I've been married 3 times, so I figured I must have learned something along the way.
Right.
It is hard sometimes to keep girlfriends and boyfriends together.
Yeah.
They have to relate to each other. They have to compete with each other and communicate with each other.
Yeah.
These things are necessary. So you decided to postpone your transition to Hollywood until you cleaned up your life, I understand.
Yeah. I had no idea why I wanted to clean my life because I loved my life. I loved what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have a reason to want to change. But just something told me I had to do it. Before you come here, you have to clean. You got to clean yourself.
Yes.
And that's just a journey I took.
Right.
So I went back home and I went on to my next bobsled season. And 3 months later, like, it just came pouring out of me. I had to confess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's God. He does that all the time.
Yeah, you know what? I asked God to make me a better man. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. I had no idea. I always asked myself, if I had to do it over again, would I be able to go back? Would I go back and do it? Yeah, that was the roughest transition of my life.
Wow.
Hardest thing I've ever did.
But like anything else so far, you've made it through it.
I've made it through it, yes.
Right. Says a lot for you, brother.
Yeah.
And by the way, while we're talking about thanks, I want to thank your publicist, AJ Edelman.
Yeah, definitely.
Who set this event up for us today. Really appreciate it. AJ, if you're here, thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. During 2005, you also confessed to all your lovers about your behavior and you changed your ways.
Yeah, you know what? That's the hard thing. Like,
Yeah.
in the past, whenever I was caught, the young lady would be mad at the other young lady who I was cheating with. It was never my fault. It was not my fault.
Okay, we
you
can argue about
know.
that.
Yeah. And I agree with it. It wasn't my fault. You know?
We can argue about that
Yeah,
one. You know.
So it was always the other woman's
Yes,
fault in their eyes.
Right.
I never had a reason to change.
Right.
And so this was the first time I held myself accountable. I went and I confessed to everybody. I made a lot of phone calls, made a few trips. And when I came out of it, man, it was still rough. It was a 3 to 4 year progress, 3 to 4 years before I kind of actually calmed down from my behaviors, acknowledging what I was doing and what I had done.
Right. You know, because here in a town like L.A., you know, there's plenty of women out here in this town.
Yes.
And also a lot of them looking for different things at different times. Men are looking for different things, and so it does sometimes become a problem.
Yeah.
You know, we tell like for example, I tell some of my students sometimes, watch out for the DOM,
The DOM.
the dirty old man.
Ah.
There's a lot of them in the state. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. You know, it's just the way it is. But people love it here. They love Hollywood. And they love that aurora that we have out here. But then you documented your journey in becoming a faithful partner in writing a book called Imposter, A Journey to Monogamy, or as I like to call it, or you called it, A Diary of a Serial Cheater.
That's right.
Now that was nice.
Yeah.
A Diary of a Serial Cheater.
Yeah, very much so.
It's very easy to do that here in this town. Without getting too grotesque about it, there's an expression people use that I know called the 4 Fs. Have you ever heard of the 4 Fs?
I have not.
Find them, feel them, F them, and forget them.
Oh, yeah.
Something that happens all the time.
That's pretty much what it was. Yeah.
And so it's hard for people not to cheat, but you really have to stay the course. In other words, she's a lady, you're a man. Whatever relationship you guys got, keep it strong. Work together, communicate with each other, and now I'm preaching on a Monday morning, something like that.
No, you know, it's always good to hear.
It is.
It's always good to hear.
I learned it myself after, going through many changes. And I met a lot of women. You know, it's no problem. I was in the Navy. You were all over the world. You're meeting women. It's no problem.
Yeah.
It becomes, again, you have to check yourself as you go along. But I did have a chance to glance over your book. And thanks to, here's a couple of chapters that I thought were very interesting. Can a cheater change?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
How?
You know what, love? People always, when I started writing this book, I sent out a lot of questionnaires. I asked a lot of questions.
Yes.
Because I didn't want just my perspective on the book.
Right.
And so I asked people, about their cheaters, from the victim standpoint and from the person who cheated, And so what I did learn is, like, the ones who actually changed had a story to tell. Like me. Like, when I made my change, I slept a lot.
Okay.
I fasted, not on purpose, but I just couldn't eat. I like a spoonful of food a day when I was going through my transition. And I prayed, slept, and cried for, I don't know how long the period was. It could have been 2 weeks or it could have been 2 months. I don't know. But what I do know is, like, there were certain things that I couldn't do and certain things I wasn't going to do.
Gotcha.
And so if your cheater doesn't have that story, more than likely they have not changed. Like, I look at Tiger Woods right now.
Oh, yes.
As soon as he got caught, what happened to his game?
Right.
It went, yeah.
He's coming back, though. He's coming back.
He's coming back. It's for me, it was almost a 4 to 5 year journey when coming back before I was normal again.
Well, I remember when you told me about the book. What was the first thing I said to you? Steve Harvey's book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Could
much.
you compare this to Steve Harvey's book?
I've heard people say it, but I still haven't read Steve Harvey's book.
Yeah.
I started writing mine in 2011, and I heard about his book, and I didn't want it to leak over to the other one.
Right. Made a lot of fellas mad.
Yeah, and this one made a lot of people mad too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, some got really happy because I put out a lot of secrets out there.
Right. Like
But-
the 4Fs that I mentioned just a moment
Yeah,
ago.
very much so. Very much so. And, you know, a lot of ways of getting away with cheating. But that wasn't my intention when I wrote the book.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of those books. It should enlighten you.
Okay. Attempted murder. There's another one.
Yeah, you know what? I always say this, like, you know, it takes something really strong in a person to make them change. For me, like, there was a woman who was almost killed because of me, you know? And it still wasn't enough for me to stop what I was doing, you know? And so that chapter in the book, that's a true story, happened to me. I was 19 years old, and I asked myself, you know, how did a 19-year-old young man get into this kind of trouble? I just want to go to college, you know? Now I got a gun-toting man running around shooting people, you know? And it happened, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really sad because that affected not just me, it affected that woman, it affected their children. And there's a man in prison somewhere, you know, behind that, yeah.
Okay. My Awakening. Interesting chapter. Title.
Yeah, that one's, you know what, I don't understand it, to be very honest. You know, I was learning a lot as I wrote this book.
Okay.
And my awakening was I accidentally said out loud that I'm a great boyfriend because I don't let them catch me cheating. Because I protect them. Because, you know, I'm good, you know, because I don't let them catch me because that's how good I am to them, right? Yeah. And so when I said it out loud for the first time, it just crushed me. To let me know that I was a predator. I was a scoundrel. I was no better than any other person that harmed somebody. And that was the day that I woke up.
But I like the way in your book that you don't just always jump on men. Women are just as bad.
Oh, yeah,
Just as
very
bad.
much so. Yeah, I wasn't out there cheating by myself.
Right, you
You
cheated
know,
by
I wasn't
yourself.
cheating by myself.
No.
And a lot of those women were married, you know, and I know that, but I didn't care.
Right.
The same way they didn't ask me, I didn't ask them.
Right.
But sometimes you see the ring, you know, you see the truck with the SUV with the car seats in the back. You understand what you're dealing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. My most disturbing cheating story.
Oh yeah, that's the one that, like, it made me question myself because I began helping people at some point.
Okay.
And I was helping people, you know, get away from their cheaters, find out if their partner was cheating. But this story here, like this, there was a young man. Well, actually, in the book, I changed a lot of things around just to protect people. But in the book, I write as a young lady. You know, she calls her lover over, and when he gets to the house, there's rose petals on the floor, so he follows him to the bedroom. And so she gets there and she tells him, honey, you know, you take care of me. I love you. And I just want to do something special for you. So she blindfolds him and she strips him down. She starts giving him, massaging him, giving him a full body massage. She pulls out the oils and just, you know, rubs him everywhere. She makes love to him. Then she runs him bath water. She bathes him. And while he's toweling off, she's out there vacuuming up all the rose petals and changing the sheets. And, you know, they go to bed smiling. They're happy. But the truth is, that was not a good thing. It wasn't a romantic evening at all. You know, this lady had been cheating. She caught crabs. And she found a way to get him off her lover without having to confess. And so when I heard that story, I was like, oh, my God, that's brilliant.
Right. That's a movie.
But,
That's a movie.
yeah, but that's so nasty at the
is
same
nasty.
time. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's the one that really just, it was so shocking.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got time just for a couple more. Ugly Duckling.
Ugly Duckling. You know what?
Quack, quack.
Yeah, you know, be honestly, as a Winter Olympic athlete, competing, and sometimes, you know, we don't get the same things other people got,
Right.
you know, and so sometimes you shacked up with young ladies in different countries. You know, you might go there and you meet a young lady at the bar. We always talk to the bar first.
Right.
We might have had a room, but sometimes, you know, you might be in town for like 3 months and you don't want to be in a hotel all the time. So we find that young lady who was willing to, you know, want to spend some time with you, and yeah, and that's really what the Ugly Duckling story is.
Okay. Got one more for you.
Yeah.
Why do black men date obese white women?
Okay, now this one, you know, I hate even to say this out loud, but it's the truth from what I've seen.
Okay.
When I wrote the book, I didn't have that conclusion, but what I've learned is most black men who I know who date obese white women usually are guys who sleeping on someone's couch. They're kind of like, don't have a lot of things in life going on good for them right now. And as one guy told me, they'll never tell him no, and they take care of him.
Wow.
And then I started to think back, and I thought about every guy who I know who did date women like that. That's kind of what it was. They had a hard life. They didn't have much going on, and yeah. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that one, but you know,
Yes.
if you open your eyes and look, you'll see it.
see it.
It's not for everybody, but in many cases, that's what I saw.
This sounds like a book one should get. How do I get a copy?
We'll be releasing it on June 16th.
Okay.
Be ready June 16th. It'll be on Amazon.
Okay.
And if you Google it, you will be able to get a hard copy if you want a hard copy. Yeah.
Interesting. It's nice to see these books. People sit down and research and and write a book that people can sit down and learn something from.
Well, this was I started writing this in 2011.
Okay.
I finished around 2013, and I sent out some text sections.
Okay.
And I sent some out to guys, and I sent some out to women. I sent some out to cheaters, and I sent out to people who cheated. And the women were like, thank you so much. You saved my life. Now I know why this guy did this. I never knew, and now I understand why I always pick these same kind of guys. Now, some of the guys were writing back in and said, oh, thank you. I'm going to cheat like this next time. So I panicked. I was like, you know what? I don't want to hurt anyone.
No.
I didn't write this to hurt anybody. I wrote this to level the playing field so everybody understands. And so I put on the shelf. I said, I'm not releasing it. And so it's been sitting for 4 years now, about 4 years. And I just, one day it hit me. I said, it's time, release it. Let it fly. I can't tell people what to take from this.
Indeed. Well, person, you are a unique individual, no question about it. Give us an outline of when you will be returning to acting.
I have a couple scripts. Like I wrote a movie, actually a reality-based show that was shopped the last couple of years. One by William Morris Endeavor, one by CAA.
Okay.
Actually, it was the journey of the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah. Didn't they make a movie out of that?
They did, but I wrote the reality show based off of
I
that
see.
movie. So I had some pretty big producing partners on it.
Gotcha.
But I have a couple more scripts that I'm self-funding myself.
Okay.
And so hopefully I'll be filming sometime toward the end of this year. That's what I'm shooting for.
Okay. When you go for these kind of projects, romance, drama, comedy, what do you like?
I really like comedy,
Okay.
but this next one is a thriller. It's a thriller. Yeah, and it's a very interesting one. It's kind of like a Sixth Sense type of movie.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of loosely based off of a true story. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. That's what I like about making movies. My favorite four-letter word when it comes to writing is ideas. That's everything starts with an idea.
Yeah.
You get an idea, you start writing, and as a writer, I have to. Remember, I asked you this when we were on the phone talking. How do you deal with writer's cramps?
I don't get them, but that's not true. I've gotten them before when I tried to change something.
Right.
But I cheat when I write. I create the storyline,
Right.
and I create my characters, and I put them in there, and I let them do whatever they're supposed to do. I don't change. Like if one person talks like this or does dumb stuff, he's always going to do that. Right. And I'm not going to change that. I just let them do what they're supposed to do.
Let me correct that. That's writer's block. Excuse me, writer's block. Because I have my own way of when I get my. AJ, how do you get rid of writer's block?
Just gotta plug through it.
Gotta plug through it, he says.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do, I pull my wallet, look at my wallet, and keep on talking. Yeah. Everybody's got their own way of doing it.
Yeah.
How do you wish to be remembered?
You know what? I thought about that, which almost I didn't want to release the book because of that.
Yes.
I didn't want to be remembered this way.
Gotcha.
But you know what? I'm one who I like to inspire people. I like to help people.
Right.
So I hope to be remembered that way.
Okay. We need to get you back again because we barely touched the surface on the things that you're getting in and got your hands in and doing different things about. Thank you so much. We had a great time with you out of town right now. But I just want to say special thanks to our sponsors, Harvey Brandman and his studio, Photography as an Art, and attorney Ron Irwin for his newly released book, Mass Murders in America. And definitely want to thank our guest today. Well, person, thank you. Come again, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Come again. My pleasure.